As scientists, we realize that color is merely a question of the wavelengths of ethereal vibrations. But that does not seem to have dispelled the feeling that eyes which reflect light near wavelength 4800 are a subject for rhapsody, whilst those which reflect wavelength 5300 are left unsung. We have not yet reached the practice of the Laputans who, if they would, for example, praise the beauty of a woman or any other animal, they describe it by rhombs, circles, parallelograms, ellipses, and other geometrical terms. The materialist, who is convinced that all phenomena arise from electrons and quanta and the like, controlled by mathematical formulae, must presumably hold the belief that his wife is a rather elaborate differential equation. But he is probably tactful enough not to obtrude this opinion in domestic life. If this kind of scientific dissection is felt to be inadequate and irrelevant in ordinary personal relationships, it is surely out of place in the most personal relationship of all, that of the human soul to a divine spirit. Arthur Eddington, 1927.
Perhaps indeed there is nothing more divine than piecing out the mathematic formula that solves what God is, according to that quote. Anyway, so basically I ran back to the tulip field and I realized, or whatever these flowers are, flower field, and I realized, hey, there's lines in the flowers too. So, just got to keep looking for lines everywhere. I then found this door, which could be opened based on a crack in between these two, like stones. That was interesting. Then I came upon this door, which is actually going to lead to me unlocking a video, but I don't do it right now. I know that the video is titled the last video, and the last video is not unlocked here. I actually got stumped on my playthrough the first time, trying to figure out where and what I'm supposed to do at this point. And I tried a couple different combinations using the left branch, and it's sad because I see myself using the right branch, and like that's actually the solution. But then I went back to the left branch before trying it again. But yeah, you have to go on the right side and look at the branches, line them up, and then there's a solution right there. But I didn't draw the line correctly. So I just sort of gave up and then came back to the swamp. I noticed this cool lady painting. That was interesting. The paint smudged on the statue. I hadn't seen something like that yet, except for maybe the black paint that was spilled in that one area. Then I realized there were a bunch of puzzles which I had not yet solved here. So I was like, oh, hey, look, there's some easy starter ones to further, reorientate people, or orientate people, I guess, to the idea of drawing, these lines that fit the box shapes in. They're supposed to go there. And it's like, there you go. So once those were done, nothing really came of it, but I needed to do them for 100% completion anyway. And then I started looking around and wondering how I'm supposed to get to the other side of the swamp and get that started. And I realized I just needed to go to a boat dock. So I proceeded to try to find a boat dock, and along the way I found, guess what, more lines hidden in shadows this time of trees. And it's like, oh, well, there's one, and there's the other. So that was handy to find. These spiky roots here are quite threatening looking, but they don't actually do anything. You just walk right over them. Oh, recording.
God bade me behold the sea, and I saw the ships sinking and the planks floating. Then the planks, too, were submerged. And God said to me, those who voyage are not saved. And he said to me, those who, instead of voyaging, cast themselves into the sea, take a risk. And he said to me, those who voyage and take no risk shall perish. And he said to me, in taking the risk, there is a part of salvation. And the wave came and lifted those beneath it and overran the shore. And he said to me, the surface of the sea is a gleam that cannot be reached, and the bottom is a darkness impenetrable. And between the two are great fishes, which are to be feared. Nefari, circa 970.
Interesting passage about not wanting to journey, but then that the risk in itself of taking the journey is like salvation. I feel like all these messages are trying to encourage you to, I know it seems like it's a large investment to try to solve everything, but hey, why don't you give it a shot and maybe you'll glean something more from it. And I've heard a lot of people refer to the game as quote-unquote evil because it's encouraging us to try to strive to solve our problems and try to reach an ending, reach a conclusion, to find some greater meaning from doing all this, and it is very zen-like. I'm definitely satisfying a part of my brain that wanted to do a lot of these sorts of things, and figure them out. These puzzles were nice because they sort of teach you the subtraction mechanic, which I kind of had already figured out by this point, but it was still nice that they exist in some capacity to sort of teach people that, you can use these to like lay two lines on top, or two rows of blocks on top of each other. So I did a little bit of these, and then once they were done, that unlocked another door. This one was really tough because you had to work out how it was even possible to do a checkerboard by using a single block to fit it inside the checkerboard, and then disable the checkerboard from even existing. There, I couldn't draw any blocks on the line because it's completely subtracted, so it was kind of cute. And yeah, these just keep going like this for a bit. And once I finally reached this one at the end, I came up here and I was like, I'm finally on this structure. I've been wanting to get to this structure forever, and I guess this is like the goal. This is the laser structure. I hadn't even thought of that, but I'm like, now what am I supposed to do? So I drew a space, and I heard something move, and then I realized, wait, the boxes correspond to the maps. So I'm like, I have to draw my way out of this by making two segmented sections at a time, removed, and then walk on those. So I was like, okay, can I start from here? No, it's not quite in view. So I had to get it to one of the edges that was actually walkable. So I started trying to remove one block, but it didn't work that way. So I removed two, and I was able to get in there. So the two sections removed, and then remove that section, and then remove that section, and then I was like, wait, maybe I've gone too far over. I can't quite do it because the subtractor has to be in there. So I took a step back, and then punched my way through the blocks, and then I was at the laser. And it was very satisfying, and that was a very fun puzzle. I enjoyed that tremendously, so big props to the design on that one, because it's really, it's doing something that you can't just do with a book, because we're affecting the 3D space in a meaningful way with the puzzle. And I really like puzzles that do that more than are just row upon row of line puzzles. But I think that's because the line puzzles are really just there to train us to do stuff like this more easily and influence the world in meaningful and interesting ways, to try to solve a bigger puzzle by solving the same puzzle in different ways multiple times. I finally opened this gate, which I hadn't done before, and I'm kind of sad that I did, because this is a bit of a spoiler, but in the closing cutscene, you kind of slide through this gate, and I wonder what would happen if it was closed. If it would go over the gate, or actually through, like, two lines in the fence. Like, it would actually go through the metal, and the camera would pass perfectly through it, like threading through a needle eye. I would really very much like to see what happens if you do the end of the game without solving that door. I regret that I opened it. But anyway, so moving back, again, this is 4 times speed right now. It'll be 8 times when the sound cuts out, because for some reason it's too high-pitched. And I noticed, hey, there's a line I can draw here, but I screwed it up and drew it the wrong way. So then I had to go back and then draw it. And this took a bit, so I'm speeding it up to 8 times speed now. It's a fairly slow platform. And then I did it the other way, because I was like, oh, there's one on this end too that lines up. Perfect. When I noticed those shadows the first time I actually took the ride on a platform, I said, that's kind of cute. It's like a little line in the shadow. I wonder if that's like an Easter egg. And now I realized that's actually meaningful, and you're supposed to draw on those, and it's just crazy. Crazy. So I then decided I was going to go up the mountain, and I was going to commit finally to finding any other lines that were visible, and also try to solve that puzzle that I had a lot of trouble with a door that might have a video behind it. And as you'll see, as this video says, that video, which I also found a mountain climber statue, which I hadn't noticed before, which is kind of cute. But anyway, as the video title says, this is it. I found it, the final video. And all I had to do was just feel around until I got the invisible line and the line to pass through their corresponding dots and get to their terminating ends while blocking off the white and black spaces. And there it is, the key for the final video. So I then backtracked all the way. Well, not backtracked. I then made a beeline. Not really a beeline. I headed back using the boat to the windmill. And I was going to go to that windmill theater. And so this is basically just a quick 8 times speed track of me going back out of sheer curiosity, I wondered, did I unlock the third video? Did I unlock the fourth video? Did I unlock, like this one was super hard to get, right? Like you have to have complete knowledge of all these different things to be able to beat that one. So I wondered what it was going to unlock. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the end result. And it actually kind of surprised me because it's the final video. And all it really is a message, which, as you'll see, is kind of relevant to what I was talking about earlier. So here we go. This is it.
So it's absolutely simple what I have to say to you. It's what my teacher said to me. And I'm still deeply discovering the reverberation of that. And it's simply stop looking for what you want. Not cynically stop looking for what you want, because there's a way of stopping looking for what you want in resignation and cynicism and closing down. But innocently, openly, stop looking for what you want in this moment, not tomorrow when you have it, but in this moment, to take one moment, whatever it is you want, however mundane or profound, and just stop looking for it. And you will find more than what you could ever want. Because more than what can be wanted is already who you are. It's too simple to be grasped, but absolutely, completely realizable. If, and it is a huge if, of course, you are willing to give up your hope that what you want will be found in the next thought, or the next activity, or the next day, or the next man, or the next woman, or the next teaching, or the next experience. So that's huge. That's the challenge. And I've blessedly traveled to Australia to challenge you in that direction, that directionless direction. It's so simple that it has to be said over and over, because it just slips right by the mind. And if it's said over and over and in enough ways and then not said, it can just be revealed. Not as something new, but as something absolutely fresh. Not new, but fresh. Who you are is not new, but it is always fresh. Who you think you are is old and dead. We just keep trying to think it a little better, squeeze some life. Is that clear? It is? Because that's really the basis of what I have to say. It's not a teaching. It's not a belief system. It's not a way to live your life. It's not a should stop. It's not an if you stop, you will be rich and famous and universally loved and never have a sad moment. None of that, I promise. But if you're willing to investigate for yourself without believing it or learning it or hoping to get something from it, just a pure investigation, out of the natural curiosity of the human mind, just to investigate for yourself, what is here when I stop trying to get anything? And how much of that is here? And where does that begin? And where does that end? And then the question, am I willing to trust that? And then the challenges get very big. But we'll get to that later. Any questions about what I just said? Want me to say it again? You already are everything you want, only maybe not in the way you imagine what you want. And it's that imagination itself that keeps you from discovering that you already are everything you want. So if you just take this evening as an experiment to give up any imagination, any image of what you need to be totally fulfilled, just give it up. It's just an image, just a thought. Maybe a spiritual thought, maybe a worldly thought, a relationship thought, a career thought. Just give it up. And directly discover what's here, unthought, unimagined. How's that? Good. Good.
It's a very fitting final video, but I hope that the ultimate lesson of the game is to just not even try.